Once upon a time, in a very far island called Talim, there was a mountain located at the heart of the island named Tagapo. It was surrounded by the beauty of God's creation and can be considered as a masterpiece of nature. But behind all of its wonderful appearance, there was an enchanted treasure hidden in it. The treasure was sealed and guarded by the magic spell of a fairy godmother who's been waiting for the one that is worthy of it for centuries. She's been sending many maps and clues for all of the people in the world to find that worthy person. Many scavengers and treasure hunters have tried to find it, but all of them failed. For the longest time, no one's able to find it, and all of the people thought that it was only a legend.
Oh, Ritchie, bakit parang malungkot ka?
Di ko kasi maintindihan yung lesson natin kahapon.
Ano ba dun?
Yung right triangle. Ano bang pinagkaiba ng right triangle sa ibang triangle?
Ano kasi? Ganito kasi yan, di ba? Right triangle. Una, ang kaibahan niya sa ibang triangle, hindi siya nagkakamali. Kasi nga, right. Pangalawa, hindi siya kumakaliwa. Kasi nga, right. Right, triangle.
Seryoso ka?
Yun ang alam ko.
Ano ka ba? Baka maniwala si Ritchie niyan eh. Ritchie, ganito kasi yun. A right triangle is a triangle in which one angle is a right angle. And that is 90-degree angle. Kuha mo?
Triangle that's having 90 degree.
Oo.
Ah, ganun pala yun. Pero, paano ba natin mai-apply ang right triangle sa real life situation?
Right triangle is a triangle in which one angle is a right angle, which measure is 90 degrees. Suppose we have angle A aside from the right angle. The side opposite to the right angle is called hypotenuse. The side adjacent to angle A is called adjacent side, while the side opposite to the angle A is called the opposite side. These parts are important in measuring distances and heights of the different objects using the three basic trigonometric functions. First is the sine. Sine is the ratio of opposite or the opposite side of the given angle over the hypotenuse. Second is the cosine. Cosine is the ratio of adjacent or the adjacent side of the given angle over hypotenuse. Last is the tangent. Tangent is the ratio of opposite over adjacent. We have sine is the ratio of opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is the ratio of adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is the ratio of opposite over adjacent. These ratios are always associated with angle of elevation. Angle of elevation is an angle from the horizontal up to the line of sight. These are also used in angle of depression. Angle of depression is an angle from the horizontal down to the line of sight.
Ano to?
I reward you for treasure?
Ano kayang treasure yun?
Saranggola to, di ba? So, baka may kinalaman sa saranggola.
Saan naman tayo makakita ng saranggola?
Saan nga ba?
Eh, di hanapin natin.
Handa na ba kayo maghanap ng saranggola?
Oo, treasure eh.
Tara na! Oh, ayun yung saranggola oh! Alam nyo ba, ang saranggola o kite ay sikat dito sa isla ng Talim, lalo na kapag bakasyon at taghabagat kung saan malakas ang hihip ng hangin. Karaniwang iba-iba ang disenyo ng mga saranggola na ginagawa ng mga tao at pinapalipad nila ito sa mga aplaya o parang malapit sa dalampasigan.
Kung ano, yun, tara! Ba yung treasure? Parang di naman.
Baka naman kailangan nating ibaba yung saranggola na yun. At baka na dun yung
Pero
next
diba,
clue.
kailangan muna nating alamin kung gaano ba kataas yung saranggola na yan. At may dalawang paraan para malaman natin yun. Ang angle of elevation at angle of depression. Yun ba ang angle of elevation? Yun ba yung sinasakyan ng mga tao kapag halimbawa sa isang building, aakyat sila sa next floor? Yun ba yun?
Elevator yun!
Yung angle of depression, halimbawa, kapag ang tao sobrang stress at pagod na pagod, yun di ba?
Hay nako Hareth, puro ka kalokohan. Ganto kasi yun. Angle of elevation is an angle from the horizontal up to the line of sight. In this problem, we use the different parts of right triangle, the hypotenuse, adjacent, and the opposite side. We are looking for the distance of kite from the ground or the height denoted by h. H or the height is opposite the given angle of elevation, 10.5 degrees, while hypotenuse measures 80 feet. Since the measure of hypotenuse is given and we're looking for the height which is the opposite side, then we can use sine as the ratio of opposite over hypotenuse. Using this ratio, we can now proceed to the process of substitution. Sine 10.5 degrees is the ratio of opposite over 80, since 80 feet is the measure of hypotenuse. Next is multiplying both sides of the equation by 80 to obtain opposite is equal to the product of 80 and sine 10.5 degrees. Next process is to get the equivalent of sine 10.5 degrees using the scientific calculator or table of values of 6 trigonometric function, which will result to 1,822 10,000s. Now we have opposite is equal to 80 times 1,822 10,000s. This gives a product of 14 and 57 hundredths or 14 and 6 tenths. Therefore, the height of the kite above the ground is 14.6 feet.
Ang sagot ay 14.57 o 14.6 feet.
Tama! So, ano pang hinihintay natin? Ibaba na natin yung saranggola.
Oo nga.
Manong, maaari ba namin ibabayan?
Pwede naman.
Teka, ano to? Mukhang ito na yung clue ah.
Ito oh.
Kung ano, sige, basahin na lang natin.
Liwanag sa paglalakbay sa ilalim ng buwan
sa malawak na karagatan.
Ano yun? Bugtong ba yun?
Mukhang bugtong eh. Pero sabi dito, liwanag sa paglalakbay. Kaya tayo dito makakahanap ng liwanag sa paglalakbay na sinasabi dito. Di ba lighthouse yun?
Doon?
Oo, gabay sa paglalakbay, sa karagatan o sa lawa.
Kung ganun, mukhang nandun na yung next na clue natin. Tara na, puntahan natin.
Alam nyo ba, ang lighthouse na ito nakilala sa tawag na parola, ang nag-iisang lighthouse dito sa Talim Island. Ito ay naitatag noong 1994 at ginagamit na tanglaw sa lawa, lalo na sa gabi. Sa kasalukuyan ay hindi ito nagagamit pang tanglaw sa dagat dahil sa ilang sira, ngunit dinarayo pa rin ito ng mga lokalidad para magpa-picture. Oh, dito na tayo sa lighthouse.
Baka nandyan na yung treasure.
O baka naman next clue lang.
Mukhang kailangan nating akyatin yan ah.
Pero mukhang maliit lang yung daan. Kaya kailangan natin ng maliit.
Pero kailangan din natin ng malakas.
Okay, ako na.
Kita mo ba kami?
Oo naman, malinaw na malinaw.
Gaano kaya kataas yan? Angle of depression is the angle from the horizontal down to the line of sight. In this given, the right triangle is named as triangle ABC. The given angle of depression is 25 degrees, with its complementary angle which is 65 degrees. If angle B is 65 degrees, we have a right angle which is 90 degrees. Therefore, angle A is 25 degrees, for the sum of these angles should be equal to 180 degrees. 35 meters is a given adjacent to the given angle, while the opposite side of the angle is the one we're looking for the height of the lighthouse. Since we're looking for the opposite side of the angle, and we have the adjacent side of 35 meters, then we can use tangent is the ratio of opposite over adjacent. We can now proceed to the substitution process. Tangent 25 degrees is the ratio of BC or the opposite over 35 meters, since the adjacent side measures 35 meters. Next is multiplying both sides of the equation by 35 to obtain opposite is equal to the product of 35 and tangent 25 degrees. Next process is to get the equivalent of tangent 25 degrees using the scientific calculator or table of values of 6 trigonometric functions, which will result to 4,663 10,000s. Now we have the opposite is equal to 35 times 4,663 10,000s. This gives us a product of 16 and 32 hundredths or 16. Therefore, the height of the lighthouse above the ground is 16 meters.
Nakita ko na yung clue!
Yes!
Ganun, ang sagot ay 16.32 or 16 meters.
Tama!
Ito ang clue!
Basahin natin. Ano ba sabi dito? Dito sa tuktok, ako'y katagpuin at sabay nating pagmasdan ang kagandahan ng talim. Tuktok? Na mapagmamasdan natin yung kagandahan ng talim?
Teka, mukhang sa Tagapo yun na.
Oo nga! Doon sa itaas!
Ibig sabihin, doon natin makikita ang kayamanan.
Handa na ba kayong umakyat ng Tagapo?
Oo naman!
At handa na rin ba kayong makuha ang treasure?
Siyempre! May dala na ba kayong tubig, pagkain at extra na damit?
Yes! Kung gayon, tara na sa Mount Tagapo.
Tara na!
Nilipad yata yung panyo ko.
Baka sumabit. Nasaan?
Eh, yun pala oh. Humanap na lang tayo ng panungkit.
Saan kaya tayo makakuha nun? Wait lang. Eto, pwede na ba to? Gaano ba kataas yan? In this problem, we are looking for the distance of the handkerchief from the ground or the height denoted by h. H or the height is opposite the given angle of elevation, 70 degrees, while hypotenuse measures 12 feet. Since the measure of hypotenuse is given, and we are looking for the height, which is the opposite side, then we can use sine is the ratio of opposite over hypotenuse. Using this ratio, we can now proceed to the process of substitution. Sine 70 degrees is the ratio of opposite over 12, since 12 feet is the measure of hypotenuse. Next is multiplying both sides of the equation by 12 to obtain opposite is equal to the product of 12 and sine 70 degrees. Next process is to get the equivalent of sine 70 degrees using the scientific calculator or the table of values of 6 trigonometric functions, which will result to 9,397 10,000s. Now we have the opposite is equal to 12 times 9,397 10,000s. This gives a product of 11 and 27 hundredths or 11 and 3 tenths. Therefore, The height of the handkerchief above the ground is 11.3 feet.
Kung ganon, ang sagot ay...
Oh, Hareth, sungkitin mo na.
Yes!
Ano bang tawag sa panungkit na yan?
Ito ba? Ang tawag dito ay bungkawi.
Alam nyo ba, ang bungkawi ay isang uri ng kawayan na matatagpuan dito sa talim. Hindi ito tumataas tulad ng karaniwang kawayan, pero sikat ito dahil ginagamit ito ng mga mountaineers at magkakawayan sa pag-akyat sa bundok dahil makikita lang ito sa paligid. Nagagawa din itong material na pangdekorasyon sa mga gamit sa bahay.
Wow, nandito na tayo sa taas ng Tagapo.
Taas naman dito.
At ang ganda pa! Alam niyo ba na ang Mount Tagapo ang pinakamataas na bundok dito sa talim?
At isa rin to sa pinakapangunahing tourist spot dito sa Pinangonan.
Pero ano nga bang taas itong Tagapo?
Ano ba kayo? Mamaya nyo naisipin yung taas nitong bundok na to. Hanapin na lang natin yung treasure.
Oo nga, no?
Mukhang wala namang kayamanan dito eh.
Ano ba naman yung mga clue na nakita natin? Parang di naman totoo yun eh. Naku, alam nyo ba? Nakakainis na talaga.
Anong gagawin natin?
Alam?
Uy, may ferry oh! Ayun na ba ang mga karapat-dapat?
Hindi po namin alam pero...
Nandito po kami para hanapin yung kayamanan.
Kung nais nyo makuha ang aking kayamanan, ay kailangan nyo munang malaman ang taas ng bundok na ito.
Kung ganon, alamin na natin.
Oo nga, tama!
Teka, nasan yung ferry? To measure the height of the highest part of Mount Tagapo, when you're on the flat ground near its peak, we will look for the given values. The angle of depression is 45 degrees, and its complementary angle is 45 degrees. We are looking for the height which is adjacent to 45 degrees. The measure of hypotenuse is given, which is 381 and 9/10. Therefore, we can use cosine is the ratio of adjacent over hypotenuse. We can now proceed to the process of substitution. Cosine 45 degrees is the ratio of adjacent over 381 and 9/10. Next is multiplying both sides by 381 and 9/10. This gives us the equation Adjacent is equal to the product of 381 and 9/10, and cosine 45 degrees. Use your scientific calculator or table of values of 6 trigonometric function to get the equivalent of cosine 45 degrees, which is 7,071 10,000s. We can now get the value of adjacent side by multiplying 381 and 9/10 to 771 10,000s. This gives us 270 and 400ths or 270. Therefore, the height of the highest part of the Mount Tagapo is 270 meters. Ang taas ng Mount Tagapo ay maaari na po ba naming makuha ang kayamanan?
Na ang karapat-dapat.
Wow! Sokatawa treasure!
Sokatawa Treasure is a magical spell from the Enchanted Treasure Box. This spell, when associated with right triangle, has the power to measure distances and heights of objects. The letters SOH from the spell stands for sin theta is the ratio of opposite over hypotenuse. In this adventure, we've used it to measure the height of the kite. On the other hand, the letter CHA is an abbreviation of cosine theta is the ratio of adjacent over hypotenuse. To measure the highest part of Mount Tagapo, we use cosine. Lastly, the letters TOA indicating tangent is the ratio of opposite over adjacent. We use this to measure the height of the lighthouse. And that's the magic of this spell.
Kung gayon, yun pala ang kayamanan.
Oo nga! Yes!
Alam niyo ba, ang Tagapo ay may taas na 270 meters above sea level at ito ang pinakamataas sa bahagi ng isla ng Talim. Nagmula ang pangalan nito sa Saytaga na ang ibig sabihin ay pumutol. Ito din ay kilala sa tawag na bundok ng Susong Dalaga dahil sa itsura at hugis nito. Sa tuktok ng bundok ay makikita ang bahagi ng Mount Makiling at ang fish pen sa Laguna de Bay, kaya tinarayo ito ng maraming mountaineers, turista man o lokal na tao dito.
Ngayong natagpuan na namin ang kayamanan,
Dito na nagtatapos ang aming paglalakbay. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagsama!
And they learn how to solve angle of elevation and angle of depression. The